I put together the case of newspaper articles, what they were reporting, having not heard this, obviously, knowing nothing about this, nothing whatsoever about this. And let's start. I lifted Exhibit 1. Where's the headline? Exhibit 1, Heat Street, exclusive FBI granted FISA warrant covering Trump campaign's ties to Russia, November 7, 2016. The article goes on. I'm not going to repeat everything I've done in the past. Exhibit 2, The Guardian. John McCain passes dossier alleging secret Trump-Russia contacts to FBI Russian intelligence alleged to have compromising material on Trump. That's The Guardian. Exhibit 3, McClatchy. FBI, 5 other agencies probe possible covert Kremlin aid to Trump. Exhibit 4, The New York Times. January 19, intercepted Russian communications, part of inquiry into Trump associates. Now, by the way, on January 20th, they changed the title to use the word wiretap. To use the word wiretap. Now, they didn't say the Trump Tower or Trump, there it is. January 20th, top of the fold, front page, Inauguration Day. Wiretap data used in inquiry of Trump aides. New York Times. Exhibit 5, New York Times. NSA, National Security Agency, gets more latitude to share intercepted communications. We find out that on January 3rd, the Attorney General of the United States signs the order. It had been in discussion for a year or 2 years on whether to expand the latitude of the NSA to share information with 16 other federal agencies, intel and law enforcement agencies, without the privacy protections in place. On the way out the door, 17 days before they leave, they signed off on it. That's the New York Times, not me. Exhibit 6, New York Times. Obama administration rushed to preserve intelligence of Russian election hacking. Rushed to preserve it. And what we also learned in that article is that White House officials, quote unquote, White House officials spread the information around, having received, quote, intelligence, unquote, information, spread the intelligence information around. That's March 1st, because they were afraid it might be destroyed. Exhibit 7, New York Times. Flynn, Michael Flynn, is said to have talked to Russians about sanctions before Trump took office. NSA makes it possible for other agencies to share information. White House officials are spreading information around. Now we have a leak on Flynn. A leak on Flynn, 1 or more discussions with the ambassador from Russia to the United States. They talked about transcription, a transcription of the recording of Flynn, a private citizen who we know would be tapped to be the National Security Council director. Somebody had the information, somebody leaked the information. Exhibit 8, Washington Post, what Jeff Sessions said about Russia and when. Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General of the United States, having to recuse himself from any investigation related to the Trump campaign and or Russia now. And it was as a result of that, on March 2nd, that I said enough is enough, and that I pulled these exhibits together, as well as other information in the succeeding days, to talk about these are police state tactics, the gathering of information, the selective leaking of information, the spreading of information from department to department to make it easier for information to be circulated and revealed. That this is stuff of a silent coup, a prior administration trying to undermine an incoming administration. That was Thursday. I believe that was March 2nd, Thursday. Yes, March 2nd, when that article came out. And I said, enough is enough. That Saturday, I think it was, is when President Trump tweeted out his statement about, and I paraphrase, about Obama ordering taps on my wires at Trump Towers or something to that effect. I never said anything of the such. anything of the sort. But I understood what Trump meant. He sees all this. He's going to thinking to himself, what the hell's going on here? As I was. As I was. Then when I put all this together, the media went nuts. Do I have proof that there were FISA court applications? Of course I don't have proof. I am reporting what the reporters are saying. Do I have proof of this anonymous this anonymous? Of course I don't. I'm citing you people. The issue is, do you have proof? And then James Clapper goes on Meet the Press the Sunday, what would that be, March 2nd, 3rd, March 5th. He goes on Meet the Press and he says, hey, look, as the former director of national intelligence, I don't know of any FISA court stuff. I don't know of any wiretaps. As a matter of fact, I don't know of any collusion. There was no collusion between Trump world and the Russians. And all of a sudden you go, wait a minute. What about all that reporting that insinuates, suggests, that creates the atmosphere that there's got to be something going on? I mean, Chuck Schumer's calling for special prosecutors. Throughout the culture, right? We're being told that the Trump campaign is bought and paid for by the Russians. Now, I want to underscore again, I do not agree with what I believe is the Trump position vis-a-vis Russia. I am no fan of Putin. I think he's a murderer. I think he's a thug, a mobster. He's ripped off his country. All you have to do is look at past episodes of Levin TV to know what I think of Putin. We've done shows on what Putin has done and what Russia's up to. This has nothing to do with that. I don't care if you're a never Trumper or a sometimes Trumper or an always Hillary. I am talking about the conduct of the prior administration and our government. During the course of an election, the opposition campaign is under investigation by law enforcement and intelligence agencies. Now, it may well be that they picked up Michael Flynn's conversations through the back door. That is, they're tapping or eavesdropping on the Russian ambassador, and they happen to hear Flynn, and they transcribe it and so forth. But there are things you're supposed to do with that information if there's no commission of a crime or something of that sort, which apparently they didn't do, which is expunge it. That said, you heard the FBI director say there's an affirmative counterintelligence investigation going on since July. So they're not sitting around waiting for backdoor information. They may get it, but they're using statutes and the instrumentalities that investigators use to go on an investigative search. Now, today, the LA Times. The media in this country, ladies and gentlemen, is so horrific. It's just so horrific. How the phony conspiracy theory over wiretapping caught fire. Two reporters, Michael Finnegan and Mark Z. Barabak. When Michael Flynn, President Trump's short-lived national security advisor, resigned last month, Mark Levin was outraged. Not because Flynn had falsely denied speaking with the Russian ambassador about U.S. sanctions before Trump took office. Rather, the conservative talk show host was furious that United States surveillance had picked up Flynn's venture into freelance diplomacy. This is a news article. His venture into freelance diplomacy. How many phone calls of Donald Trump, if any, had been intercepted by the administration and recorded by the Obama administration? That's a question I still have, by the way. In other words, if they're catching people through the back door with conversations and so forth, who are they catching? How many phone calls of Donald Trump, if any, have been intercepted by the administration and recorded by the Obama administration? Did I say that Obama wiretapped Trump's wires? No, never. I was very careful about what I said. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the real scandal. They took 2 sentences out of an entire program that you can listen to on your own on March 2nd. Go to marklevinshow.com, marklevinshow.com. I have 4 years of my radio shows there archived for you to listen to. You can listen to the whole thing, as they could. Let's continue. With that, what began as rumors and unverified accounts percolating through right-wing media coalesced into a wild conspiracy theory. Hold on. Did I read anything from right-wing media? I read everything from left-wing progressive media. Conspiracy theory adopted by a president with an itchy Twitter finger a penchant for intrigue and eagerness to embrace information, however sketchy, that reinforces rather than tests his beliefs. This is a news article. Trump's unfounded claim that President Obama had wiretapped his telephone ricocheted throughout the country, shook Washington, and stunned disbelieving U.S. allies. The fallout continues to rattle the embryonic Trump White House. See, they do not want to talk about the issue. The issue is exactly what I pointed out. The FBI director has confirmed that there's an ongoing counterintelligence investigation started in July. It's going on today. There have been leaks from this investigation, including to the media. Leaks about FISA courts, leaks about transcribed information through the back door. All kinds of leaks that I read to you. There's been NSA conduct, right? Including spreading information around. There's been White House officials who get intelligence information and spread it around because they don't want it destroyed. It's nothing to do with right-wing media or right-wing conspiracy theories. It's too bad we don't have a press that's actually interested in facts rather than spinning stories like this, and they're not done. The president's own Justice Department, the head of the FBI, and the bipartisan leaders of 2 congressional oversight committees, this is today, have all said they found no evidence to substantiate the outlandish assertion. But the president and his chief spokesman, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer, listen to this, have refused to back down, aligning themselves with Levin and others operating in what amounts to a hall of mirrors, where the unproven claims of one media outlet are cited as evidence by another, and facts are twisted, misdirected, or ignored in the service of political propaganda. Absolutely unbelievable. These Alinskyeites dressed up as reporters. These Alinskyeites dressed up as reporters. They don't take on anything that was laid out. Nothing. We're living in a world in which people are making false assumptions that because something exists in print and is circulating, it has legitimacy that it otherwise wouldn't merit. Is she talking about the New York Times and the Washington Post? Is she talking about the Wall Street Journal? Say Kathleen Hall Jamieson, a communications professor at the University of Pennsylvania, who spent decades studying the intersection of media and politics. Someplace along the line, we failed to teach some people how to evaluate evidence and how to recognize legitimate versus illegitimate. It's all the more startling when the President of the United States is one trafficking in falsehoods. Levin, who began his current show in 2003, my radio show, is a 59-year-old constitutional lawyer who heads a conservative nonprofit public law firm in Washington. During the Reagan administration, he served as chief of staff to Attorney General Edwin Meese III. He first broached this unfounded theory. What unfounded theory? What unfounded theory? Seriously, what is the unfounded theory? He first broached this unfounded theory on his program on February 15. He laid out the supposed details on March 2nd. He laid out the details of the reporting. Obama and others who backed Clinton, Levin said without evidence, used the instrumentalities of the federal government intelligence activities to surveil members of the Trump campaign and to put that information out in the public. Ladies and gentlemen, talk about an alternative universe. Did they not leak information about Michael Flynn? Was information not leaked about FISA courts? Was information not leaked about an ongoing investigation involving 17 federal departments and agencies? It seems to me that some of the reporting was actually accurate. I'm not creating any theory whatsoever. I'm laying out what they said and drawing my conclusions from what they said. Obama and others who backed Clinton, Levin said without evidence, used the instrumentalities of the federal government intelligence activities to surveil members of the Trump campaign and to put that information out in the public. Well, now, is there not an ongoing counterintelligence investigation? Shouldn't I be getting a letter of thank you? Were there not leaks to the media? Shouldn't I be getting a letter of thank you? Shouldn't I be getting a Pulitzer Prize? Levin said he had spoken with his buddy Andy McCarthy, a former federal prosecutor, who had written a column in the Conservative National Review suggesting the media Democrat complex was avoiding the story. Anyway, it goes on. Let's see, where else do we have here? On his March 2 show, which originates on New York's WABC, Levin told listeners that in order to obtain a surveillance warrant from the intelligence court, the government must show probable cause that the target is an agent of a foreign regime. Levin not only said that, I read the statute. That's what the statute says. The incredible scandal here is the Obama administration was investigating top officials in the Trump campaign, maybe even Trump himself, during the course of the election. Did I not just play what the FBI director said, that there's an ongoing counterintelligence investigation? I figured it out. And now I'm a conspiracy theorist, you see. He expressed further outrage at the New York Times report that outgoing Obama administration officials had disseminated information about the Russian investigation throughout the government to ensure the inquiry was not squelched once Trump took office. This is a silent coup, Levin said. Silent, nonviolent coup, that's what's going on here. And I believe it, to undermine this president. All the talk about impeachment, all the talk about him going to be indicted, all the talk about a special prosecutor, all the talk about his illegitimacy, even though he won under the Electoral College, that's what is meant by exactly what I said. And I've explained it 1,000 times. Then they go on the next day. Breitbart, the right-wing tabloid website once led by Stephen K. Bannon, Trump's chief strategist, devoted a story to Levin's conspiracy theory. What conspiracy theory? The account, which rehashed Levin's assertions, said the Obama administration had eavesdropped on the Trump campaign, then relaxed national security rules to allow evidence to be shared widely within the government. That is from the New York Times. The intent, the March 3 article stated, was ensuring that the information, including the conversations of private citizens, would be leaked to the media. I never said that. But stuff was leaked to the media. The piece circulated in the White House, and they go on. I don't know how it's circulated in the White House. I'm not involved in any of that. But then it goes on about the White House and so forth. So this is why the LA Times, the New York Times, the Washington, this is why they're all hurting financially. People are sick of them, absolutely sick of them. So here we have how the phony conspiracy theory over wiretapping caught fire in a phony story that cherry picks and cuts and pastes. And here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, you don't need left-wing, progressive, ideologically driven reporters to interpret what I say. Here's the great thing about what I do. Levin TV is available every single episode to any subscriber. You can go back, there's over 230 of them, and listen to me yourself. On radio, we have a 4-year archives of radio shows, unedited, including March 2nd, which they must have listened to and cherry-picked. But you can listen to it yourself and draw your own conclusions about exactly what I said. So what was the point of this article? The point of the article is to deflect and to cover up and to try and get people to self-censor. I'm not self-censoring. I hate to say this might be weird. I live for this stuff. They want to fight me on the facts, then I'll fight them on that battlefield any damn time. There's no conspiracy theory here. This is reality. These are facts. This is what the media did. And now the FBI director himself says there's an ongoing counterintelligence investigation, which means some of these techniques must have been used or may have been used. Maybe some of these reports were correct. But notice they never want to talk about the Obama White House or the Obama administration. 2 New York Times pieces talks about the Trump White House officials, the Obama White House, not a word. Nothing about them. Why is that? What was the thinking behind relaxing the NSA standards on January 3rd on the way out the door? Not a word about that in the LA Times. What about the fact that Obama administration officials are spreading information around the bureaucracy? Not a word about that. They are absolutely disinterested and not curious about any of this. Instead, they want to paint pictures and position people. We're not going to put up with it, and we're not going to allow it.
For more, sign up for Levin TV.